to what to say to get more clients. This is going to be a discussion for individuals who are in the process of marketing their services, acquiring clients, trying to build their successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax practices. As we have this discussion, I'm sure you'll have a number of insights as to how to better explain your services and basically acquire clients, but I'm also hoping to enlighten you to a few things that will actually make it even easier so that you're able to more clearly define what it is you do as a business, and most importantly, what it is that your clients receive from the services that you offer. In this discussion, one thing that I think is inherently important is we too often as accountants and bookkeepers struggle to describe our services in such a way that the clients can understand really what they're gaining from the services that we offer. It's not just accomplishing a task or performing a function that they need. We should be helping them obviously in their business so that they can be more successful, profitable, and for that we need to actually understand that one of the things that we oftentimes do in the marketing is this very simple thing of poorly explain our services. So what I want to do to begin this discussion is introduce you to this concept of what we typically do when we're marketing our services, and it's sounding like an adult does to Charlie Brown. Think for a moment, what does Charlie Brown hear when he's listening to an adult speak, whether they're explaining something to him, asking him a question? It's basically this gibberish that we're familiar with. Well, the reason why this is important is because too often I feel that the accountants that I speak with explain their services in a way that sounds the same way to a client. The client is hearing them say things that are confusing or frustrating, or more importantly, are just simply a task list of functions that they do. I do financial statements. I do bank reconciliations. I help with your receivables. All of these are tasks, things that the business owner hears that need to be done, but they don't understand necessarily the benefits of having them done and done well. So what we need to do is understand that when explaining ourselves, we need to be saying 4 key things. We first of all need to say the right thing to the right people in the right way at the right time. Now, as I go through these 4 key things, I think you'll clearly understand what it is that you should be doing as you're marketing your services and meeting with clients to help them understand what it is you do to benefit their business. So as we start this discussion of what is the right thing, in fact, to say, let me first of all just point out that we need to stop talking about the features, the things that we do, and I just mentioned those a moment ago. It's where we're talking about things such as the tasks we perform, the things we do. They're not interested so much in the things we're performing in their behalf. What they're more interested in and what we need to be focusing on are the benefits that they receive by having us do them. So this enables them to, for example, focus on what they do best. It allows them to focus on money-generating activities that they need to be doing. It allows them to perhaps have things that they wouldn't otherwise have because you are the expert. An example of this is talking about tax. Obviously, we don't want to explain that we simply perform the function of tax preparation. What they need to hear from us is that we also do things that are to help them, such as legally reducing their taxes. This is something that they receive as a benefit for our doing it. Now, this is just a simple example of saying the right thing, taking away from the features that we do and emphasizing now with the client the benefits that they receive by our doing the work. Now, this brings us to the right people. This is something that's key. You need to realize that there is an ideal client, a client type. This is something you need to be familiar with for your business, and it will vary from practice to practice. For some, it's something that you're looking for that is unique to an industry. You might be, because of your work background and history, familiar with various services that you can offer to a unique industry, and that might be something that you can specialize in. It might be that the right people happen to be businesses that are in a geographical area. For example, you may be someone who's only interested in taking on clients within, let's say, 1 to 5 miles of your office or home. Well, this may be different from an individual who's choosing to specialize in a certain industry, and in specializing in that industry may take clients that are in another town, in another state. Why? Because they've chosen to specialize in those certain industries. Now, these are choices that we each have to make for our own practice, but more importantly, it helps us identify who that right person is. Now, think of it this way. Where's Waldo? It's a game that many of us see our children play, and it's essentially knowing who Waldo is that allows us to find Waldo. If we don't know who it is that we're looking for, the opportunities could present themselves and easily pass by if we're not aware of who those right clients are, the ideal clients. So you need to know industry, you need to know location. These are things that actually help us basically identify who we're looking to market to. An example of this is there's a study done that shows many of the small business accounting services actually acquired their initial clients, or many of their clients, through these various sources. First is family and friends, which would be obvious. It's not necessarily that the family and friends are clients perhaps, but it does mean that they come from the family and friends. But the other is location. I've already kind of shared this with you, but it's understanding that you need to decide who that ideal client is, but also recognize that as you're working with businesses, proximity can be one of those selling points that you may not realize is a big deal, but it is something for them. Case in point, you perhaps, just to illustrate this, may not be the best example of the premier accountant, let's say, in the city. But for that business, your proximity is more important to them. Psychologically, they prefer having somebody that's a mile away from their office doing their books as opposed to someone that's 20, 30, 50 miles away from doing their books. Now that's to obviously stress kind of a psychological wellness that the business owner feels having you not necessarily down the hall or in the other office, but close enough that they're able to say that you're down the street. It's kind of like the phone book scenario. When you're looking for and need a plumber for your home, you're not perhaps looking for the best plumber in the state. You're looking for the plumber that's probably in your same city or community or near your home. That's who you want. And so it's the same with accounting sometimes, is you can leverage your proximity and use that in your marketing. The other happens to be those that you're a customer of already. You're already doing business with them. You're already spending money with them, either as an individual or as a company. And doing so, you're a customer of theirs, and they respect that and they appreciate that. And so oftentimes that can be a leverage point for you to get them as a client. But then lastly is this industry where you can specialize in certain things. I was alluding to this earlier, and to give you an example, I worked with a few individuals that happened to have industry experience in construction, in avionics, another in trucking. So just to give you an example of trucking, it was a student who happened to have a number of years of experience doing long-haul trucking. So as he became interested in offering accounting services, an obvious choice was to then specialize or focus in on those long-haul truckers who also needed that accounting to be done as independent truckers. Well, he was familiar with the industry, he was familiar with the vocabulary and the nuances of that profession, so he was able to market to them and do very well because this was something he already had a unique history with. So perhaps I'm a better accountant, maybe you're a better bookkeeper, but because of that industry familiarity, he knew what he was looking for. So this helps when we're knowing who our right people are, who the ideal client is, so that when we're marketing and the opportunities present themselves, we can clearly see that and take advantage of it. The next thing is doing it in the right way. Here's something that I trust you'll appreciate. Just because you're able to say the right things and you're going to focus on sharing the benefits of what your services can offer a small business, and even though you're aware of who your ideal client is, it may be that the right time, or the right way rather, hasn't presented itself. And a way to illustrate this is, let's assume that you're at a church social or a wedding reception, and as you're meeting and socializing, someone introduces themselves as being that right person. But even though you're prepared to share the right message, that's not the social setting in which you want to do this. So it's not the right way to do the work is at a wedding reception, let's say, explain your services. So what you want to do is understand there's a time and a season for all things. And so what you want to do is not necessarily pitch or present your services to them at that time, but you want to basically go back to their office, find a time when you can meet with them in their safe environment, learn about their company, what they do, and get a few more details so that you can then properly explain your services and what it is you offer. And this may seem similar to this last point of at the right time, but here's how it differs. Some people in their marketing will ask the question of when is the right time to go out and market and offer bookkeeping, accounting, or tax services, and you need to recognize that it is year-round. Here's what I mean by that. You'll have basically opportunities throughout the year to emphasize your services, what it is you have to offer, and how people can benefit from those. So at one time in the year, it might be advantageous to promote accounting services. Another time of the year might be beneficial to promote bookkeeping services and another tax services. This might give reason for someone to offer all those types of services as opposed to simply just being, let's say, a tax service or a bookkeeping practice. But throughout the year, there are specific things that you can emphasize in your marketing that are in essence hooks. They're needs or pains that a client may be experiencing that you're able to remedy, fix, or be the solution for. So when is the best time to be out marketing your business? Now is. It's always the right time to be out marketing your services because businesses will fall into these categories throughout the year, and you need to be able to emphasize or market to them appropriately. Now, as you're out marketing, this allows us to recognize that now's the time to do it because businesses need your help. That's, I think, the first and foremost thing here. You have something to offer them. But at the same time, this is also important for you. Now's the time for you because you're serious about doing this, and obviously you're wanting to take advantage of these lessons that you're learning right now. Now, this brings us to 4 key elements that are also essential when offering your services. These services, let's say, are things that or elements rather, are things that you, in my opinion, need to be aware of and need to know in order to effectively market your services. One happens to be a declaration. For some, this is an affirmation, a clarity as to who it is that you are and what it is that you do. Before you can intelligently explain yourself to a business owner, before you can explain your services in a way that they can realize the benefits of what it is you're offering, I think you need to have a clear understanding of what you do. And so for this, you should have a declaration or an affirmation that you can refer to. So let me just kind of explain what an affirmation or a declaration is. It's a clarity of who you are and what you do. So I've got here an example here. This is Jessica's affirmation, and I think if you can just tap into her energy, I think you'll appreciate what it is that this has as a potential for you as you're preparing each day to go out and explain to others what it is that you do for a living. So let's listen to Jessica's, and then I'm going to explain it a little bit more.
Look, I can be a shark. Now my whole house is great. I can do anything good. I like my school. I like anything. I like my dad. I like my cousins. I like my aunts. I like my Allisons. I like my moms. I like my sisters. I like my dad. I like my hair. I like my hair. I like my haircuts. I like my pajamas. I like my stuff. I like my rooms. I like my whole house. My whole house is great. I can do anything good. Yeah. I can do anything good. Better than anyone. Better than anyone.
So how was that? Isn't that some energy that we can tap into? She has a clear understanding as to who she is, and I think we should all have the same enthusiasm for our own personal identity. So what we need to do now is take and declare who we are. And so this is my example of where I always take my students, and it's this statement. I am a successful accountant, bookkeeper, tax preparer, and my clients refer to me as their profit and growth expert. Now, to be clear, you have to decide, are you an accountant, are you a bookkeeper, are you a tax preparer, are you a QuickBooks Pro advisor? What are you? What is it that you do for your clients? In that clarity, that will give you energy and passion for what it is you're offering your local businesses. Now, with this, I do want to point out that becoming a profit and growth expert is something I want to explain here in a few minutes. But let me just mention a few things about accounting and bookkeeping. This is something that people will typically have a question about. So for this, let me just kind of clarify what the difference between these two are. It's unfortunate that this even comes up as a discussion. I'm actually frustrated with the many things that people will say, even within the accounting profession, to try and distinguish between the two, and it's not difficult, and it's not anything that should be confusing, but yet it is. So here is the explanation. Bookkeeping is merely taking all the transactions within the business. It's recording those and documenting them for the company, and then preparing for them the appropriate reports, the financial statements, and so forth. That is bookkeeping. What accounting is and how it differs is it's now actually taking those reports, all that information that's been gathered, and now interpreting it, giving it to the business owner or manager in such a way as to help them better understand what's going on in the business. It's identifying trends. It's looking at and analyzing the information in a way so as to use it more effectively in business. And it's with that process that you're then becoming that advisor, or you're consulting that client in a way that enables them to be more effective in their business. So this phrase here of I'm a successful accountant, bookkeeper, tax preparer, and my clients refer to me often as their profit and growth expert, is I think a key essential declaration as to what it is you do. But having that clarity then brings us to this question of what it is you do. Well, there is a 30 to 60 second commercial that every one of us should create, and in this we need to actually explain ourselves in such a way as to have the client ask one of two or both of these questions: how and how much. The purpose of the declaration is clarity for you, your purpose, what it is you do. The 30 to 60 second commercial now is what it is that you're doing for the business. Now, here's how it would essentially play out. Imagine yourself in a situation where you're actually speaking to business owners, and as you're explaining who it is that you are, you need to say to them, well, basically things that they can relate to. And the thing that you need to actually understand is the first part of the 30 to 60 second commercial needs to consist of these three key elements. First of all, I encourage people to emphasize how they can assist a business with taxes, how you can actually reduce the tax liability that a client actually has. Also, focusing on profit, how you can actually help a business become more profitable. Lastly, it's this element of helping them keep money in the bank. It's not enough just to have a business owner make the money. As they're putting it in the bank, it'd be nice to help them be able to keep it there. And so if you're able to, in your 30 to 60 second commercial, explain how you assist with these three key elements, it allows them to find those things that apply to them and ask how and how much would this be. Now, if that's what's happening, your 30 to 60 second commercial is successful, because you're not in the 30 to 60 seconds going to acquire a client, but you are going to intrigue them enough as to ask what it is you do and how you do it so that you can meet with them and further discuss it. So that brings us to the next question, which is an explanation of services, the actual meeting that you're having with the client where you're explaining your services. So imagine, if you will, your 30 to 60 second commercial helping you in some social setting meet somebody for the first time. They ask how or how much. You then explain, well, let me just go ahead and come by your office. I'd be happy to explain these things to you. And as you do this, you then have this discussion, which is the explanation of your services. In this, you'd want them once again to be asking the question of how and how much. Well, here's how this conversation would go. First of all, you need to ask or propose some questions that resonate with them, things that they go, yeah, that's what I'm looking for, that's what I need, that's what I would like to have happen. When you do this, you then need to have this unique value statement as to what it is you focus on for your clients. And what I'm proposing that you do is stress how you can legally reduce their tax liability, how you can increase their profits, and most importantly, keep money in the bank. That then captures again the attention that they had when they first perhaps met with you. But then this is where it really starts to come together. You need to be very bold with some specific claims that you can make that help you stand out as being, this is why you'd want to do business with me. An example of this is I have some students who in their marketing say that they can actually save a business more money than they're paid in the first year. So in other words, they're paid throughout the year to do the bookkeeping, accounting, but in that year they're going to find and identify ways in which to save money. And those savings would be obviously greater than anything that the business cost in having them do the books. Now, this is actually very important because this is a statement that they can resonate with, and they're able to say, okay, let's put you to the task, let's put you to the challenge. Here are some other ones that you can look at: the doubling of the profits, the having the financials done in a very quick period of time, taking care of the receivables. These are things that business owners may need, and with this bold statement, you've got their attention. So then the fourth thing is to simply ask for the business. Too often what happens in the sales process is the people fail to ask for the close, and it's very simple. Let's just get you started. That statement alone, that phrase, is very key, and I feel very comfortable for many accountants and bookkeepers and tax preparers to use in order to acquire clients. And so that's what I would suggest. Now, all of this brings us to this negotiation step. This negotiation is, I think, not essential, but it does occur. Businesses oftentimes like to feel like we do as human beings, that we're always getting a good deal. And so I have one tip here that I want to give you that I think will actually assist you in your negotiating processes to get the good deal that both parties deserve. Basically, what I want you to do is realize that in your process, you want to make sure that you're clearly agreeing upon the scope of the work, what needs to be done, what it is you're going to be doing. You need to clearly identify why having you do them will be beneficial. What are their benefits? What do they get out of your doing the work? And then last of all, it's asking for the business, making sure that you don't give up the farm in order to acquire them as a client. And what I mean by that is you never want to lessen or cheapen your fees for your services. You don't want to, in the short term, get a client and in the long term regret it, where 6 months from now you're realizing that you're working for nothing and that they got a good deal at the beginning, but it's now costing them. And so what we want to do is we want to utilize what I suggest is the setup fee. If you're not familiar with this, this is something that we should discuss later, but essentially when acquiring a client, there's a setup fee associated in the first month to basically set up the business's chart of account, review the accounting, become acquainted with the business functions that's going on in the client. Well, that first month is a single experience, and there's a setup fee associated with it. Well, rather than discounting or changing your fees for your services throughout the billing cycle, what you want to do is negotiate with your setup fee. And you can use statements such as, well, because you're a member of the networking group, or because you're a member of the Chamber of Commerce, or because you know my brother-in-law, I give family and friend rates and I discount my setup fee by 50%, or I waive my setup fee. Realize by doing this, you're now not affecting what you're going to be earning later on in the year. And so this isn't impacting your earnings, say, a year from now, 2 years from now, because this was a single event and it's something that you can easily haggle and negotiate with. So these are, I think, very effective tips that I can give you to assist in the negotiation process of acquiring a new client. Now, as you go through this process, one of the things that I want you to understand is when you go through these things, in addition to what you say, I believe you can more clearly help the client realize the benefits of having you do the work. Again, the declaration is where you're able to clearly define what it is you do. The 30 to 60 seconds helps you introduce those things that you're focusing on for your clients, such as I proposed: tax, income, and keeping money in the bank, reducing their taxes, increasing their profits, and keeping money in the bank. But then the explanation of services and the commercial always needs to cause them to ask the question of how and how much. And with that, you're asking for the services and negotiating with them when necessary by using your 3 steps: agreeing upon the scope of the work, making sure it's clear what it is you're each going to be doing, making sure that the benefits are clear to the client as to why it is that you are doing the work, and then lastly, that idea of negotiating with the setup fee. Now, that brings us to this question of now what? Let's assume, for example, that you're in the situation of marketing your services and you're out there trying to identify who it is that you are and what the services are that you provide your clients. So you need to be using some clearly defined marketing strategies. And so as we talk about this, I'd like you to understand that Universal Accounting Center has defined over the last 35 plus years exactly what it takes in order to be successful marketing, accounting, bookkeeping, and tax services. These services, when you're marketing them, you can follow a turnkey process. This turnkey step is basically a system that you can use to get clients, realizing that as you plug yourself into this process, this recipe, you're going to get the clients because this is the system that's efficient in acquiring these clients. So one of the things that you need to realize is that perception of who you are, both yourself and your clients of you, is, I believe, a key thing. One thing to understand is we often within the accounting profession identify ourselves with the degrees and the certifications that we carry. So whether you have a 2-year, 4-year, 6-year degree in accounting, That's something that you can be proud of, but is that enough? For others, it's the certifications that they have, so that when they're marketing, they're emphasizing that they're CPAs, they're EAs, and then lastly, it's the experience, the work and background that you have, perhaps in certain industries, let's say. Well, all those things are helpful, but what we want to also look at is what program you can use to ensure that as you're emphasizing those things, you're being effective in your marketing. So that brings us to the question of what programs you might be following, what turnkey process are you implementing, as well as what coaching are you receiving to ensure your support with this or your success with it. So at Universal Accounting, what we do is we assist in not only certifying your skills, but giving you a program to follow to help you either acquire accounting clients, bookkeeping clients, tax clients, so that you can actually go out with some confidence and build your practice. Now, for some people, this is a part-time practice that they're doing to supplement their income. It might be something they're doing on weekends or weeknights. For others, this is a primary income, where this is something they're building to bring in during the week all the funds that they're needing to run their household. Well, regardless of what type of practice you're intending to create, there is a turnkey process to ensure that you can build your client base as quickly and effectively as possible. Now, with this in mind, one of the things that you need to realize is that Universal Accounting, I've been stressing lately this concept of the difference between a doctor and a coroner, and how I feel it applies to the accounting services that we're providing our clients. You need to realize that there is a huge distinction between these two professions, and I think it's painfully obvious. What we need to be doing as accountants and bookkeepers is not acting as a coroner. It's not enough that we have our clients coming in once a year to simply have us look at their books from a tax perspective. It's almost deadly in my mind. What we need to be doing is building relationships with our clients, much like a doctor would. We don't just see doctors when we're not well and when we're unhealthy. We also see them when we're having our physicals and such, just to see that everything is okay, and if there's a need for anything different or better. Is there a way that we can basically improve our lifestyle? They might be even able to point out, because of some identifiers and maybe some let's say with the blood pressure, they might be able to see some precursors that we can begin avoiding so that we can not experience some health problems down the line. Well, that's the same as accounting. What we need to be doing is having a proactive approach with our clients, that we're meeting with them not just yearly, but perhaps monthly or quarterly, giving them an assessment of what's going on in their business, running some reports to help identify where some problems might be lying so that we can address them before they become a large issue. And how's this done? Well, a simple way to explain this in your marketing, and something I'm sure you'll appreciate actually doing as you sit down with your potential clients, is introducing to them this wisdom pyramid. The idea behind this wisdom pyramid is simply that in the accounting process, what we oftentimes do is we take and we enter the data. We collect all the transactions, record them in the accounting software. Now, when we're doing this, what's happening is we're taking that information and we're compiling it into reports, and we're generating from it, let's say, things such as financial statements, balance sheets. We're looking at current ratios, liquidity ratios. Well, that information is valuable, but in all honesty, if we're just merely running the reports and not looking at them or understanding them, we're not going to that last level of the accounting process, which is interpreting that information, understanding it, projecting it forward into the coming months and seeing what that means from a trend point of view. That there is where the sixth sense will come in for the client, and they'll be able to now more effectively run their business because they are making better educated decisions for the company. Now, all of that is obviously using this analysis of a doctor versus being a coroner. So this introduction brings me to this point of offering full accounting services and being, for your clients, a profit and growth expert, becoming, as I was sharing with you earlier, not just a simple accountant or bookkeeper or tax preparer, but in fact for the client, a profit and growth expert. It's being able to provide them services in bookkeeping, providing services for them in accounting. One of the key things here that's essential is being proficient with the bookkeeping software, which by many people's use is QuickBooks, and then also using the accounting software of choice, which is BizBench. BizBench happens to be that software that is key to actually comparing a business to their competitors, the industry standards, and determining how that client of yours compares to what those standards actually are. Are they doing as well as, or better than, or worse than?
But more importantly, where they're struggling and have areas of opportunity for improvement, there are action items that BizBench provides that you're able to now, as their expert, come and implement it within the business to improve things over the coming months. Obviously, this brings us to tax as well, where you can be certified as a professional tax preparer and provide for your clients not just the tax preparation they're needing, but also the tax planning that's key to leveraging those legally available deductions that are available for the client. Now, all that being said, Master Coaching is something that we at Universal Accounting provide to our students that is a program designed to give you a sense of accountability so that you can build your business with the confidence that you're needing to ensure your success. These programs are designed to help you accomplish in weeks what many take months to do, and more importantly, have the support system you need in order to do so confidently and competently. The confidence is key to be able to speak to a business owner and literally say with confidence that you can take care of their accounting needs, but it's then the competence that ensures that not only are you going to do the work profitably because you're efficient, but also retain them as a client because of the quality of the work that you're providing to them. Now, with this, it does allow you to then be in business for yourself as a certified professional bookkeeper, a certified professional tax preparer, or a QuickBooks specialist. Being in business for yourself but not by yourself. In reality, what this is it allows you to stand out from the crowd and not just be a traditional bookkeeper within the community, but literally be that expert that these small business owners need in order to really excel and succeed as they would like to in their business. It's more, again, not just being a traditional accountant, bookkeeper, or tax preparer. It's literally becoming that professional bookkeeper, that professional tax preparer, that QuickBooks specialist that you're able to then use to service your clients profitably and competently. This turnkey system that I'm referring to has been developed by Universal Accounting Center now for many, many years. And over these years, we've basically found that where you have the will, we have the way. And we can literally assist you over the next 12, 18, 24 months in implementing these various strategies to ensure that you have not just a practice, but a very successful and profitable practice that you can be proud of, getting and retaining clients and literally making a difference in their business success. Now, for today, what I'd like to do is offer to you this opportunity to call Universal Accounting and speak with one of our representatives and have a one-on-one assessment of what currently is going on in your market, literally what is happening with the businesses where you reside, but more important than that, find out from you what your current situation is, what your background is, what kind of experience you have in accounting, what kind of credentials do you bring to the table now, and what do you need in order to excel and succeed in this business. How you can do this either part-time, full-time, how you can do this as a supplemental income or a primary income, how you could grow your business slowly, comfortably, 1, 2, 3 clients a month, or aggressively with 4, 5, 6 clients a month, for example. So this is something that you need to decide, and with our help, talking to someone here at Universal Accounting, I'm sure we'll be able to give you the instruction, the advice that you're needing in order to do this comfortably and competently. So to end, before I finish, I'd like to share with you a video, and I think it has an excellent message for us. Some of you may be familiar with Kid President, and I think he's got an excellent thing here to share. So let's do this, and then I'll wrap things up.
I think we all need a pep talk. The world needs to stop being boring. Yeah, you. Boring is easy. Everybody can be boring, but you're gooder than that. Life is not a game, people. Life isn't a cereal either. Well, it is a cereal. And if life is a game, aren't we on the same team? I mean, really, right? I'm on your team, be on my team. This is life, people. You got air coming through your nose. You got heartbeat. That means it's time to do something. A poem. 2 roads diverged in the woods, and I took the road less traveled. It hurt, man! Really bad. Rocks, thorns, and glass. My pants broke. Wah! Not cool, Robert Frost. But what if there really were 2 paths? I want to be in the one that leads to awesome. It's like that dude Journey said, don't stop believing. unless you dream stupid. Then you should get a better dream. I think that's how it goes. Get a better dream and keep going. Keep going, keep going, and keep going. Will Michael Jordan have quit? Well, he did quit. So he retired. Yeah, that's he retired. But before that, in high school, what if he quit when he didn't make the team? He would have never made Space Jam. And I love Space Jam. What will be your Space Jam? What will you create will make the world awesome? Nothing if you keep sitting there. That's why I'm talking to you today. This is your time. This is my time. It's our time. We can make every day better for each other. If we're all on the same team, let's start acting like it. We got work to do. We can cry about it, or we can dance about it. We were made to be awesome. Let's get out there. I don't know everything. I'm just a kid. But I do know this. So everybody's doing to give the world a reason to dance. So get to it. You've just been pep talked. Create something that will make the world awesome. Play ball.
So, are you ready to make a difference? I'm quite confident you are. So, with that in mind, have a wonderful day. Give us a phone call and let's move forward with your practice, helping you accomplish your goals, allowing you to be in business for yourself, but not be by yourself. And remember this, if it's about accounting, it is universal. Take care and have a great day.